Second Esdras. Ma?
Okay, go ahead, Judah. YAHAWAH.
Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
So they were carried prisoners. They were taken, tied up, chained, and led on a march from our country, Israel. All of the Indians this happened to. North America, Central America, South America, Boricua, Puerto Rico, Cuba, República Dominicana. All of the Indians this happened to before we came to America. You want to say?
Yeah, just to elaborate one little bit about Israel. Israel the Bible, they refer Israel to the 10 tribes. When they talk about Judah, they talk about the southern tribe. Because the kingdom get divided right after King Solomon into 2 kingdoms. We have the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. So Assyria captured the 10 tribes that are the northern kingdom. That's how 2 Kings explain about. Right? So and then you will find that the scripture continue with Judah, because that's where all the kings come from, and elaborate when Christ may have come from. So then from then you don't mention much about the northern kingdom. So that's the reason why we read this in our next part of the scripture with the book of the Apocrypha. No?
But this is my King James, right? The original King James has these books, but they took it out in the late 1800s. They took it out, but mine still has it because it's an older edition, right? But you can still get the King James with what they call the Maccabees inside of it. Okay, so now we're gonna get right to the point. It says that the 10 tribes were carried away prisoner in the time of Hosea, Shalmaneser. Okay, go ahead up.
In the time of Hoshea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
We just read that in 2 Kings, that Shalmaneser took them away captive. Read.
And he carried them over the waters.
So he took them over the water. He took them over the Tigris River, took them over the Jordan River, and brought them into another land. Read.
And so came they into another land.
So they were put into the land of Assyria, which is where about where Iraq is today, in the Middle East. Okay? Read.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves.
So we all got together and said, we need a meeting. Read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
Let me ask you, everybody understands my English, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to translate today?
No.
So all the meaning, understand what I'm saying? Okay. So he says that we're going to do what? Read that again, please.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So they got together and said, we have to leave here. We have to leave this place where we were taken away captive, like a slave. Like if you were kidnapped and you were taken through war, and you were taken into Oaxaca. And then Oaxaca goes to war with some people from Michoacan, instead of Purepiche, right? They go to fight the Purepiche in Oaxaca. And then you, the Quechua, or mostly Mopan, you say, well, look, we need to leave now while they're going to war. This is our chance to escape and to leave. So we have a meeting and we say, okay, now it's time to go. Okay, read.
And go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Now, when it says where never mankind dwelt, what happened is they came from one side of the ocean, right? Everybody was in China, Europe, Africa, Asia, right? And we left and came to where nobody dwelt before, because the people here are the original people. That's why when the Indians in North America and South America, we were here first, right? That's why when Columbus came here, they called it what? What did they call it? Nuevo Mundo, right? They call it the New World because they said that we didn't know this world even existed. So we came here first. Nobody had been here before. So this is what the Bible talks about when it says they came where never mankind dwelt, meaning that we were the first ones to civilize this land, whether Central America or South America or the Caribbean, right? Right?
Verse 42. That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
So there we said that we're going to keep the laws in this place that we did not keep in our own homeland. So this was our change. That's why when you look at the old archaeology on how some of the Mayan priests dressed, how some of the Aztec priests dressed, how some of my fathers dressed in North America, they all would wear these on their clothes. They all wear fringes on the bottom of their shirts, on their arms, across their chest, across their backs, down their pants. If you look at the old cowboy Indian movie, they have the fringes still in their clothes at the bottom like this. Okay, go ahead.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river.
So he came into the Euphrates River where it was narrow, it was getting smaller. Read.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over.
When he said that he gave them signs, that's meaning he showed them the stars, the navigation, how to get from the east and make it into the west. Held still the floods, meaning the Atlantic waters made them calm, so that the ship could pass over through the waters with the 10 tribes had them. Okay, go ahead.
For through that country there was a great way to go,
So from that place, it was a long trip, read.
namely of a year and a half.
It says, namely, 1 year and a half, which is 18 months, to travel on the waters. So if you leave the Persian Gulf on a ship that's built for the ocean, you will take 1 year and 6 months to get over here in the Americas. That's how long the trip takes on a basic ship even now. So even though we're here now, we were the first people here, but we did not start here. We didn't start here. We started from the east. Like the Popol Vuh says, we came across the waters where the sun rises. And then we made our way west because the Assyrians were and Chiha and the YAHAWAH, the same thing. With a ho means the land that Chiha, YAHAWAH. So Zebulon's main prophecy is what? Ships and water and the coast. So a ship, Chihap and Ha, right? So now, part of Central America, well, I'm going to show you this right here too. Part of Central America is Belize. You see that? The same ancient symbol, you see the ship and the water. The same ancient symbol. You see? Look at Belize. You see the same ancient symbol, the ship on the waters. You see? The same ancient symbol, the ship and the water. See that? You see the Chihuahua and the Ha and the ship. How you say ship? Bote. Like boat. Bote. Bote and Ho. Bote, Ho.
Huyu.
Huyu? So bote is Huyu?
No, that's a paddling.
Oh, okay.
Paddling.
Okay. Huyu, that small one. So you see the same ancient symbol, the water and the ship. The water and the ship on Belize. Yeah. You see that? The same ancient symbol, the water and ship. Water and ship. It's the same thing. So this is only one thing. Okay? Water and ship. And the Belize, water and ship. You see? Water and ship. On the top. And then right there is the water and ship. You see? Ship. Oh. No. Ha. Okay? So now, that's one. But then, What else does it say? It says that Zebulun shall be a coast for ships. So if you look on the, remember the three words for Zebulun are what? Chiwak, right? Chiwak. Chiha, Ho, and Bote. Chiha and Ha, right? Chiha, Ha, Bote, right? Chiha, Ha, Bote. So, coast, water, and ship. Now, when you go to Honduras, what is that? Water, deep. What's on their flag? Chiha and Ha. Okay? When you go to El Salvador, what's on their flag? Chiha and Ha. The same thing. Remember, Zebulun, Chiha, Ha, Bote. Okay? And when you go for what? First of all, Belize is what? They say Belize means what? Muddy water, right? So you have the Ha again. So then when you go down to the rest of Central America, you have Nicaragua, which means what? The Ha of Nicar, right? So on the flag you have the same thing. You have the Chiha, and you have the Ha, once again, like the prophecy said. You have the Chiha, and you have the Ha. When you go to Costa Rica, what is Costa Rica? Chiha rich, right? The rich Chiha. So it's the same thing. Right, Costa Rica, the rich coast.
The rich coast.
Right, so what do you have on here? You have the Chiha right here for the land. You have the Bote right there, and then you have the Ha right there. So you have all three of them all together, right? The same thing. You have the Chiha, the land, coast. You have the Bote, the ship, and then you have the water, the Ha, again. And for Panama, what do you have? You have the Chiha, and then you have the Ha, right? But what is Panama Canal known for? For the ships passing through there, right? So that's the bote, right? Going through the canal. And then for the last one, you have the right next door, Guatemala. They have the two stripes. What are the two stripes? These are the Ha for the Pacific, and these are the Ha for the Caribbean, which is part of the Atlantic. So on all of the flags, you have at least two of those things, or one in this case. Okay, but in Guatemala, what are the biggest lakes of Guatemala? By the Izabal, right?
Izabal.
Right, that's the biggest lake in Guatemala. Izabal goes for Rio Dulce, right? And it passes through the coast by for Livingston, right? Passes through the coast for Livingston. Okay. So now, how do you say? You know how you have the infinitive and then the cognate, right? You have ser, then you have soy. So you have the verb. The verb for Zebulun is Zabal in Hebrew. So the biggest lake in Zebulun territory in Guatemala is Zabal, which in Hebrew is he dwells, Yazabal. So Zebulun shall dwell as a haven of ships. So everything that the Bible says about Zebulun comes to the people from Central America, from Oaxaca. Even on you look on the flag for Yucatan, it's a ship. Okay, it's a ship. And then all of the trade from here to Mexico was done from the canoes and the lakes and the rivers. Like you were going to Rio Dulce and going to the Caribbean, and then go up through the Bahia de Honduras, the Bay of Honduras. Then they'll pass through Cozumel, they'll unload there. Isla de Mujeres, and going to around to Cancun, unload there. And then they'll come up through the Gulf and they'll unload there. So all of the places and the prophecies about Zebulun and ships happen to these people. Like you say, Honduras means what? Means deep. Deep what? Deep ha. Right? And like I said, even on their flag, you have the shore, la costa, and then you have the sea, the water. So read that again. Go back into 49 and
Genesis 49, verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships.
so he shall be like a coast for ships. That's why these countries down here, they have more cruise ships coming down here. They have the trade that they used to do in Central America, okay? And then they have the water that's all throughout these territories. And not only that, even in their names, YAHAWAH, he made the people that named these countries put water on their flags and to put water on the names of the countries too, showing how it's Zebulon also. Okay, so go ahead and read some more.
And his border shall be unto Zidon.
His border shall be to Zidon. Zidon represents America, which means that America is going to control Zebulon. That's what that means. His border shall be to Zidon, which means that Zidon is going to control what happens in Zebulon's territory. So from the further up here, you have Guatemala they control. You have Belize that they import things into here. They have the policies that they said here. They have the right side of the road driving instead of how the British on the left side. They have the American dollar that they accepted here mostly, more than pounds and more than quetzales, definitely. And then from there to the end, you have Panama Canal, which is controlled by the U.S. also. So from the top to the bottom, they control everything in between. So that's how he shall be unto Zidon. So let's go to Deuteronomy 33. And it talks about rejoice, Issachar, in thy going out and in thy coming in thy tents, and Zebulun in thy going out. So when you read the Bible, it's not complicated. It's very simple. There's no other place you can go to in South America and see all of the flags in that area have water and ships and coast on their flags. You can't go anywhere else and see that. There's no other place you can go to that has that narrow land where they had rivers and streams that connected from the east to the west. And lakes, you have Lago de Managua, right? Lake Managua in Nicaragua. You have Lago de Izabal in Guatemala, in East Guatemala by the Honduras Bay. And then you have the canal, right, in Panama. So you have three major bodies of water, one man-made, but then in all of their flags you have water. On 5 of their flags you have ships, okay? And on their flags also, some of their flags you have the coastline. So it's only one simple prophecy that Jacob gave. But Jacob says, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to you in the last days. Why did he tell us that? So you can look at this characteristic, you can look at this description, and you can say, who is this? Natama, you want to jump in? You want to jump in?
No.
Okay. Were you in Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 18. And of Zebulun, he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in the going out.
So Zebulun was very migratory. Okay? You have Zebulun because they divided Zebulun with so many different groups. Zebulun has the most movements of all the other tribes. And most of the tribes are trying to come to here. El Salvador, Honduras, right? Guatemala, they're all trying to come to this side. But the Belizeans and Guatemalans are trying to get down to Costa Rica. Everybody else is trying to get into into Belize. You have the Mexican trying to come down, some, Guatemala trying to come over, and then you have El Salvador, Honduras that comes into Belize also. Okay, so it said, rejoice Zebulon in what?
In thy going out.
So in thy going out. So rejoice Zebulon, which means rejoice dwelling in thy going out. So even though Zebulon leaves, he still goes into his own dwelling place. Which is the other land of Zebulon. Okay, go ahead.
And Issachar in thy tents.
So Issachar was going to be more stay still, which is which Issachar is going to be the people in Mexico, the Aztecs. Okay, but now when you talk about like the Creole people, and you talk about the other people, the Bible says that the Israelites also are going to go into slavery on ships. And that their sons and daughters are going to be taken from them, and they're going to be sold into captivity. Give me Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 8. So Zebulon is right here now, from here all the way to Oaxaca, going all the way down to Panama. Why? Because when the prophecy came, there was only one description. It says Zebulon should be a haven of ships. All right. You shall dwell at the haven of the sea. I read that up.
Jeremiah 23 and 8. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country.
So one of the gathering places for the Israelites is going to be the north country, which is a place where, once again, when they came, it's one of the last places that got populated with people, which is going into mainly North America, which is where everyone tries to get to now. Everyone tries to get up to North America right now. So it says that he's gonna what? The Lord liveth, which did what?
Which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country.
Which led us from the north country. Read.
And from all countries whither I have driven them.
And from all of the places where he made us to go to. Right? Which is not just North America, but once you know that North American Indians, the South American Indians, and Central American Indians are just distant relatives from the same family. They are distant relatives from the same family. Okay? We have all the customs are similar. The ancient clothing is similar. The manners are similar. The dressing style is similar. And even a lot of the history is similar. So when you talk about North America, all of the tribes were going to converge, come together in North America when they leave their own territory. That's why that's the main place you can find where all countries are right now. Okay. Any questions on that one?
Only my main concern is you based here, right? North America and South America. What about? Well, I don't really understand it, right? But what about the other countries, the far countries in the east, like Syria, Iraq, and places there? I'm confused right now because mostly you're talking about this side of Central America and South America.
That's why when we read, remember it said that most of the Israelites, they left and they came to a land where nobody lived at before. Remember we read that in 2nd Ezra. Go back to 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, around about verse I think it's 38 or 40.
39.
So remember it said that they read out. We said
These 2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 40. These are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners.
No, you go to the one where it say another land where never mankind dwelt. Came across the waters.
Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves.
So when we went into captivity under Assyria, which is ancient Iraq, Iran area, northern Iraq, Iran. Read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So we left from the place where all of the other nations were. We left from the other nations' places. Read.
And go forth into a further country,
So we said we're going to go into a further country, a country that was far away. Read.
where never mankind dwelt.
Which was the last part of the earth to be occupied. That's why we are the original people here. We are the original people in North America. We are the original people in South America. Okay, so it says that the Israelites left from that place in Assyria, and that they came someplace where man never lived at before. So that's why the Assyrians, they're in their countries already. Those places were already occupied.
Okay.
So this says that the Israelites are going to leave the east and basically come to the west. Like how the Popol Vuh said, they came from the east where the sun rises, and they traveled toward where the sun went down, where the sun sets, which is from the east of the Atlantic, and we came to the west of the Atlantic. So that's how we know that these people, whoever the first people over here are, those are the Israelites, because they came across the water. They didn't come across the ice from Russia into Alaska and walk down. They didn't do that. They came across the waters from the east to the west. And the reason we say it's not talking about the Syrians and the Iranian and the Arabs is because they didn't leave where mankind was at to go to a new land. We're the only ones that left and came to another land, because they find Hebrew writing all throughout North America and all throughout South America. But they find just the Hebrew customs in Central America. Like when you look at how the woman, when she have her visitation every month, a period, she would leave and she wouldn't deal with the man. Okay? And you might have, after she have the baby, she wouldn't deal with the man for a certain amount of days. And when she have a girl, it might be a longer amount of days that she doesn't deal with the man. Okay? So you have the archaeology where they found the Hebrew laws written in Tennessee, in Ohio, which is a state where we live at right now, and they found it down in New Mexico. Okay? And some of the North American Indian chiefs had coins, old coins that they got from their ancestors that came from Mesopotamia, that came from the east. Okay? And some of the names for God, my mother is, for example, is Cherokee. And the name that the Cherokee people call God is YAHAWAH, which is the same as YAHAWAH. One of the short names for God is Yah. Okay? Yah. When you look at the Boricua in Puerto Rico, the Indians there, the Taino, but they call themselves Boricua. The island is called Borinquen. They call God Yah. And they they said he had a son that he sent. And his son's name was Yayael. So the father was Yahya, and the son was Yayael. Okay? And when you look at the Caribbean, they used to have a worship ceremony where they had 12 stones, 12 tall stones, and then they had a 13th stone which was taller. That's like Jacob and his 12 sons, or Christ and his 12 disciples, or Moses and the leaders of the fathers of the 12 tribes, the princes of the 12 tribes. So you have 12, and then the 13 was the one that was the big one in charge. So they have that. So certain things that were right, they corrupted it and made it into wrong, but it started out on a good thing. So that's how we know that all of the Indians here, the natives here, they say we came from Asia, but we didn't come from Asia. Our own records, the North American Indians, we say that we came from the east. Your fathers that had the Popol Vuh said that they came from the east. You see?
So who they occupy the land of Israel at this time? That the other people, not the real Israelites. You could read that in Revelation 9, where it said the synagogue of Satan. I don't know if you want to really read that out. I think it's Revelation
2 and 9.
2 and 9.
2 and 9.
So he tell you exactly that he know that the Most High know our poverty. He know that we are rich people. But the people over there are just liars. They're synagogue of Satan that then claim to be the real Israelites, but they are not. We are the real Israelites. Because the history we just gone through is just identifying who we really are, no? So,
Read that up.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works.
So Christ is saying that these people that he talked to are people that work. Some people work, and some people have people that do all the work for them. We're the ones that were working. Okay? We're the ones that were working for the German, the French, the Spanish,
we're in captivity.
the British, right? In captivity, being controlled by another nation. That's why a long time ago, when you go to the market, you could make money and you could trade just by speaking one of 3 dialects, right? Now you have to talk Creole, or you have to talk English or Spanish to go in and deal with them. Why? Because they invaded and they took over everything now. Now you have to come to their level. They can't come to your level because they are greater. Same thing with the North American Indians. That's why they don't say Goyatle, for his name is Geronimo now, but his name was called Goyatle. They don't say Tatanka Iotake, which is sitting bull. They call him sitting bull. His name is not Tatanka Iotake anymore. They don't say Inde, or they don't say Siksika Chirakawa. They say Sioux Indian, which means enemy. They don't say Siksika Chirakawa, which is their original name. Okay? All of our names mean the people of something. Whether the people, the children of the corn, or the original people, or the strong people. Okay?
What's Yaya mean?
Yaya means is a poetic way to say Yahawah's name. Like Jeremiah, his name in Hebrew is Yaram Yah, which means he lifts up God. He exalts God. What does Yahya mean in here?
You don't know the Yaya. Well, Yah means that if you heard, heard.
Yeah. Hurt like
part of your body is hurting you. It's yeah.
You say your heart?
No.
Like you
Yeah,
heard something.
part of your body
Yeah.
is hurting you. That is,
Yeah, if some part of your body is hurting you, I say, yeah.
Okay.
It hurts then. It hurts.
yeah.
So Yah was meaning
Pain.
it really hurt. Okay.
Pain, yeah.
Yeah, that's who hurt us, was Yah. Yah hurt us.
Sometimes when we speak to the little ones, we say that don't touch it, it's Yaya.
Right.
Yaya.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, chichi, Yaya.
What about Yaya El?
Yaya.
What's that mean?
Yaya look like English with the Spanish.
Okay.
Means,
Right.
yeah. So it's a bit of mix up things.
What about Ahla?